A bit of context for you all. I fell pregnant during an intoxicated hookup with my friend in my 20s. Not the most glamorous or flattering truth, but it's the truth all the same. When we found out, we decided to keep the child and co-parent while remaining friends. We were never a couple, and we didn't want to be one either. My daughter is now a tween. 4 years ago, he began to date his long-term girlfriend, and they moved in together last year. She fell pregnant, and I've been supportive of them both as much as I could be without crossing any lines. I've encouraged my daughter to help and behave when she's staying with them during the pregnancy. I've also made it clear that I want the children to have a close relationship despite having different mothers. I've even said that if they were comfortable with it, on nights I have my daughter, if they ever want time alone, I'll babysit once they have the baby so my daughter can spend time with her sibling. All in all, I thought everything was great, and I was excited for my daughter to have a sibling, as she's always wanted one, but I had no interest in having another child. 3 days ago, my friend and his girlfriend had a daughter, and they asked me to bring my daughter to the hospital to meet her little sister and others in the family yesterday. So I did exactly that. But when they introduced us to the baby, I was shocked. The name they used was my daughter's name. She didn't seem to have any issue with this when she introduced the baby bold as brass. My friend seemed uncomfortable and wouldn't look at me directly. I asked them what they were playing at which point my friend's father said he'd take my daughter down to the cafeteria to get something to eat and left with her. My friend told me to calm down and not overreact, while his girlfriend told me she didn't see the issue and it was a pretty name. I asked them if they'd named the baby for my daughter, trying to understand the logic here, but his girlfriend said no, it was just a pretty name she liked. I then asked if they planned to use a nickname or a middle name when addressing her daily, and she responded that she didn't see a need for that. I told them they were being ridiculous and couldn't do this. I then told his girlfriend that I found this frankly creepy and told my friend he was being spineless if he was happy to go along with this. He tried to claim our daughter could use a nickname or something, but I shut that down immediately, asking why it was more reasonable for a girl who's used that name for a decade to shame her compared to a baby who had no concept of what a name was yet. His girlfriend told me I was being a witch talking to her like that after she had just given birth and asked the nurses to remove me, saying I was being disruptive. Maybe my temper is running a little too hot though, and I was too harsh on her when she just gave birth. It's just so darn weird. Edit. I'd also like to state, I know that what they want to name their child is their choice. They could have called her Dinosaur for all I care, but this is the one name that should be off limits or adjusted. My daughter and her half-sister even have the same surname as they have the same father. Something about it just felt malicious and deliberate, as if she was trying to replace my daughter, and for them both to spring it on us like that at the first meeting. That was weird. Not the idiot. Honestly, how did they think you would react to that? How did they imagine that conversation would go? This is a calculated move on the part of the girlfriend, and your daughter's idiot of a father is too spineless to stand up to her. While no name can be claimed, this is a full move of hate and spite. I will tell your daughter's father that you'll be going for full custody of your daughter and taking him for child support because you can no longer trust him to do the right thing for your daughter. I'm sorry, but your daughter will never get treated right by her father's girlfriend. She's already trying to replace your daughter by giving her daughter the same name. They hid this for a reason. He was embarrassed for a reason. The same first and last name will cause both those girls a lifetime of issues, especially with the same father, and perhaps even the same address. I usually would have a bit more sympathy for a woman who just gave birth, but she seemed deliberately cold and cruel towards your daughter, her stepdaughter, to have done this. I'm going to take a wild guess that the girlfriend had orchestrated the name reveal at the hospital intentionally to generate evidence and throw you out of the hospital and from the guy's life. She knew her behavior warranted a scene, and she crafted a get-out-of-jail card even before committing the crime. I suggest you look into changing your daughter's surname to your own surname, or at least suggest she can do it when she's old enough, so at least they won't have the same full name, and she can get some distance from her loser father. I, male 27, started dating my girlfriend, 25, 1.5 years ago, and things are going great between us. We also live very close to each other. The only thing that sometimes bothers us is our income disparity. I make almost 3 times more than her and have intraday trading accounts, so I also earn money from them. It sometimes interferes with our relationship, but I'm always mindful of carefully treating money around her. I don't spend carelessly in front of her, and I pay for the majority of our dates and all. In 2021, I bought a MacBook Pro, and after using it for almost 1.5 years, I didn't like working on it anymore, so I decided to give it to my younger sister, 18. I know it sounds snobbish, but I wanted to build a gaming PC for myself, and now the PC parts are at a low price, so I'm building a very expensive gaming PC. After booking everything online, I told my girlfriend about this, and she told me how much I was spending on something when I already had an expensive laptop. I told her everything, and that you can't game on a MacBook, and it's a work laptop. I needed a gaming PC for me, but she just kept going on and on about how unnecessary it was. Finally, after half an hour, I just told her that if it bothered her, ignore it, and it was my money. I could use it however I wanted. Again, she got emotional and left. Now she's giving me the cold shoulder, which feels very complicated. Not the idiot. It's your money, and you two aren't living together. Also, if your spending habits are really something to worry about, then where's that concern when it comes to you paying for the majority of your dates? Or is she mad because that gaming PC could have been an engagement ring? It seems a bit unfair that you can pay for most of your dates without a problem, yet buying something for yourself is suddenly something worth scrutinizing. I second this. I'm sure she never complained during any dates you paid for. LOL. She's probably worried you're taking that money from the dates fund. My ex was exactly like this. She was perfectly fine if I was blowing money on her, but would lose her mind if I bought something for myself. 3 guesses as to why she's an ex. I'll try to give her the benefit of the doubt here, because she doesn't make as much money. She may need help understanding what sort of after-tax income you have available. For her, she may see what you're doing as a red flag, as you're spending a large amount of money on something that she sees as a frivolous expense. This may make her concerned for her financial future if the two of you were to get married, probably something in the back of her mind. Instead of addressing that concern, you dismissed it, telling her that she has no say in what you do and how you spend your money. Also, giving away a computer worth hundreds of dollars, even to a family, is still weird over selling it to help cover the cost of a new one. I, 19 female, have a boyfriend, Jake, 22. Jake knows my friend, Anna, and Anna recently started dating someone, Brad. We met with Brad at the party that Anna was hosting. We had a small talk, and jobs, etc. weren't discussed. We decided to go to a lake house, all 4 of us and some other friends, for a weekend trip. Turns out Brad and his friends thought it would be funny to do a break-in prank. We arrived in the middle of the night, and they did the stupid prank. They wore stupid masks, etc., and had toys to scare us. Being in the military, my boyfriend jumped on them, and when we found out it was a prank, the guys had some black places on their bodies. Obviously, my boyfriend was just protecting us, and he didn't know. No one did know that this was a stupid prank. Brad later told me that I should have told him that Jake was in the military and that because of me, he had a black spot. I told him that it was never discussed. Besides, they were the ones who decided to do a stupid prank and take it too far. Am I the idiot for not telling Brad that Jake is military? Not the idiot. The "it's just a prank, bro" attitude needs to die. Anybody that thinks break-in pranks are funny deserves whatever they get. They're lucky your boyfriend didn't unalive anybody. I would not be friends with these folks any longer. They staged the burglary as a prank. It doesn't matter if he was military. Plenty of non-military would mess up people, threatening harm. On no level are you and your boyfriend liable in any way for their stupid behavior. I hope he knocked the crap out of at least one of them. Brad can screw off for trying to blame you for the consequence of his crappy, dumb, irresponsible, dangerous prank. That's entirely his responsibility, and his unwillingness to own that indicates he's not a good person to be around. Yeah, it's your responsibility if your boyfriend's a police officer, trained martial artist, or he's just a guy who used to wrestle in high school. All these guys would have been a problem for your friends. Frankly, if he's military, they're lucky they just got off with some marks. It could have been a lot worse. This was incredibly stupid and dangerous, regardless of the profession. My ex, 38 female, and I, 39 male, have 3 kids, a female toddler, a female preteen, and a baby boy. My ex also has a 20-year-old daughter, Grace. My former stepdaughter, Grace, is engaged to her high school boyfriend, Liam, 20. Grace and Liam moved 6 hours away from us when they started college. When my ex and I divorced, she and my kids moved down the street from Grace and Liam. Since they moved, almost every picture my ex posted or sent involved Liam. There were videos of Liam coaching my son through his first steps, him teaching my preteen how to ride her bike, and Liam and Grace at the beach with the kids. It's so common that I asked if Grace and Liam are living with them. My oldest had a baby daughter dance at her school. I was not notified. I found out by seeing a picture of Liam and my oldest on my wife's Facebook with the caption, Daddy-Daughter Dance 2023. My kid has her grandpa and 3 uncles within 10 minutes of her, but my ex chose Liam to take her to this event. After seeing the post, I told her that I was done with Liam taking over my role as the kid's dad, and that I was not okay with him being alone with the kids. I told her that if I continued to see Liam pretending to be their dad, I'd take her back to court for custody. My ex said someone has to fill that role, since I can't bother visiting, working to pay her child support and alimony, and only talk to them once a week at best. It seems that every time I call, they have ballet, gymnastics, swim, nap, school, or are out with Liam. Am I the idiot for threatening to go back to court because my former stepdaughter's fiance is pretending to be my kid's dad? You are the idiot. Your kids have another family who loves them and is there for them. Just because that makes you insecure isn't a reason to cause more hurt and harm to your kids. If you feel there's a hole in their life that someone else is filling due to your absence, stop being absent from their lives. What's worse is you're full of excuses for why you're not involved. You should have had your kids' schedules to know when they can talk to you. Take her to court all you want. No judge will have sympathy that an absent father's feelings are hurt, and because someone else stepped up and did their job. Are we purposely ignoring that the mother didn't even notify the father of the father-daughter dance? It sounds a lot like, based on this post, the mother pushed the father away, first with the moving, second with keeping him away from the kids. People act as if they can just go on weekly trips that require 12 hours of travel while working full-time to pay for child support and alimony for someone who doesn't even work, according to OP. So by the sounds of the story, he 100% should take her back to court and either force her to move within reasonable visitation range or get the kids 50% of the time. I disagree. It sounds like OP has no custody. If OP had some amount of formal custody, then the mother and kids most likely wouldn't have been allowed to move away, unless OP didn't object. If OP had custody and had objected, a judge would have gotten involved. Also, it sounds like OP has no formal visitation and didn't object or try to stop his ex from moving that far away. OP doesn't even speak to them weekly, let alone see them. He's totally opted out of their lives. My sister Emily, 34, has been married to Declan, 36 male, for the past 3 years. Declan's first wife passed away 5 years ago. Declan has kids from his first marriage, who are a young teen, a male tween, and a younger male tween. While Emily and Declan were dating, I noticed that his children were unhappy with the change in their lives and didn't really appear to like my sister. I saw grieving kids most of all. And I guess they were seeing it as a betrayal of their mom for their dad to be moving on at the pace he did, meeting my sister after a year and marrying her a year later. It was clear that Emily was trying to bond with the kids, and they had walls up where she was concerned. Emily didn't seem to notice, and I debated speaking to her, but I felt it really wasn't my place, because surely it was something at least Declan would notice, and they would discuss. Emily had a baby with Declan 2 months ago, and since the birth of their daughter, she has noticed those walls her stepkids keep with her. Declan apparently had not noticed, and he sat down with the kids and Emily for a family meeting. The kids said nothing until Emily left the room. That's when they revealed their feelings about Emily. Declan asked them why they waited for Emily to leave the room to speak, and they said because he called it a family meeting, so they waited for it to be just the family. In the days that followed, Emily learned that the kids didn't consider her any kind of family, and they disliked having her around. Though they never said they disliked her specifically, she learned that they consider her someone to tolerate having around for their dad's sake, but not someone they want to be close to, they want to make things work with. The youngest said he hates it when Emily mentions their mom, which his older siblings agreed with. The oldest also confessed to removing Emily from photos she keeps on her phone and laptop. Emily was understandably upset to hear this, and she confided in me about it. I offered her an ear and a shoulder, and at some point in this talk, she turned and asked me why I didn't appear surprised. She said our parents at least looked more surprised, and our brother really looked clueless. I confessed to her that I had noticed the signs before she and Declan married, and that I had seen it for the last 3 years as well. She asked why I didn't tell her this. I told her I honestly considered it, but feared it was both not my place and not something she would respond well to. Emily told me I should have told her. I'm her sister, and I could have helped her go into her marriage with open eyes. I could have helped her consider whether marrying Declan was the right thing to do. She said I betrayed her by not saying anything. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your sister's lashing out a bit because she's upset. It's totally understandable on her end. The truth is that kids around those ages can be very good at being mean. They lost their mom, and their dad moved on kind of quickly, so it's hard to blame them. The only person that comes off as a bit of an idiot here is Declan. He didn't put in the necessary time and work with his kids before getting married to Emily. Families are tough sometimes. I hope it works out for them. And he's still clueless. They've been married for 3 years, and he never noticed that they don't want his new wife around. I feel bad for the kids. Their mom dies, and their dad doesn't give them the attention that they clearly need. I wonder if he ever put them in therapy after the loss of their mom. OP, it sounds like they were all in denial, and now she needs someone to blame. If you noticed something during the few times you spent with the family unit, why didn't she notice when she was with them a lot more? Because she didn't want to. For her to say you could have helped her go into her marriage with open eyes, and you could have helped her consider whether marrying Declan was the right thing to do, is a cop-out. She was around 30 when she married. She's old enough to know she should put in some thought into marriage before getting married. She knew she was marrying a guy with young kids. Neither she nor Declan thought to consider the kids. That's on both of them.